Very good afternoon to you all, my dear participants, for this session 3 of AACT sponsored Atal FDP on data analytics in smart healthcare. And it's my pleasure to welcome our wonderful resource person, Mr. S.K. Shankar, corporate trainer and startup-preneur, QS Techno Solution Chennai. And I extend my welcome to our beloved HOD ma'am, Dr. N. Sandhya Kumari ma'am from EC Department, Knowledge Institute of Technology. And also I extend my warm welcome to you all, my dear participants, to this session. Our resource person, Mr. S.K. Shankar, he is a corporate trainer and startup-preneur QS Techno Solution in Chennai. And he has got a vast number of experience in a product development and also in innovation, had won number of laurels under his belt. He has been selected as mentor for change by Atal Innovation Mission and also won the national award from All Indian Achievers Foundation for the best corporate industry trainer. He has filled the Indian patents, 13 patents he has filled, and also he is having a international patent. Currently, he is undergoing his doctorate research on blockchain in securing educational credential system. Welcome you, sir, for this FDP. It's a warm welcome to you all, too, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Gopi, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So can we start now? Because we have 74 participants, I suppose, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
so, okay.
Yes, sir, we will start the session, sir.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I just put my video mode on off because some videos to be played. So that is the reason. And also I have some softwares to be discussed. So I just switch off my video. So while we are taking the Q&A, then I'll just switch on my video. Okay.
Okay, sir. Most welcome.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Good afternoon, participants. I think that's a good number of participants present over here at this afternoon. I think this session will be a power back to you because there are so many things to be discussed and so many things to be shown to you regarding how the exploration of electronic health recording using data sciences. So before we go inside this topic, I just want to give you a clear picture what exactly we are going to discuss for the day. So we are going to have three kind of parts. That is, I have subdivided the session into three parts now. So the first part, we'll be looking after how this exploration of EHR using data science is getting into medical fields. That is how they are maintaining data records in data science and how this getting used. And the second part, I'm going to give you what are the digital initiatives that has taken from the government of India, that is especially from Tamil Nadu government. What are the things they will need? So that one we are going to see based on the data science part itself. And the third thing, I'll be showing to you how exactly we can work on data analytics parts without writing a single line of code. That is through Excel. We'll be going to see how in Excel we can do, and also how we can perform the data analytics by using some tools also. And also there is one video which we have in the session here. At the last end of the session, I'll give you the video. That is a video how exactly the health EHR records are maintained and how this analytics has been performed by using Power BI. I'm going to give you a small demo of video on that itself. So this is the session what we are going to have today. So is it clear, guys? What we are going to discuss, is it clear for you? Just you can just raise your hands or something pop up or something.
Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So let's get into the session now. So before I start the session, why this topic has been selected? Because in United States, you can see here the healthcare spending accounts for 17% of US GDPs are there. That is, it is becoming the healthcares are playing a huge role everywhere in the countries. Okay, not only in India. Just I have taken this graphical representation from US itself. So you can see here. So in 2012, the worldwide digital healthcare data was estimated to be equal to 500 petabytes and is expected to reach 25,000 petabytes in 2020. So just imagine 2020 itself, 25,000 petabytes means in 2021, what will be the data? So there exists the biggest problem. So how we are going to manage all the data? Because in the present state, what is the things happening is that all the data has been maintained through physical, through papers or something like this, or saving in a desktop or something like this. But how this is going to protect the data? How this the data analytics is going to play a huge role here. How they are going to have this analytics, all the things will be presented in front of the peoples. For example, I got a problem and I got, for example, I'm saying, if I got a problem like cardio problem or something, so I am undergone a treatment in India and I want to move on to US for further treatment. So if I want to go from India to abroad, so I should carry all my documents with me. So because they will need to verify what kind of prescriptions they has given, what type of things has been given. So if you see the medical records itself, I can't carry a huge suitcase of medical records with my tablets. So instead of that, if you have a system that can give you some data through analytics, what are the prescriptions he has taken and what is the progression level, if all this data has been present, then it will be creating a better future for the better country. So this is the motivation what we have taken for this. So organization of this session is, so we'll have something about introduction about big data, what exactly it is, because everyone knows big data. I don't want to touch on more on that. And some motivating examples I'm going to give you. And then the source and techniques for big data and healthcare, how it is, the data has been come to a structured EHR data, how this unstructured clinical notes, with this unstructured clinical notes, how this analytics has been taken for it, and how the medical imaging data is going to play inside this analytics. So all these things we are going to discuss for the day. Okay, so this is the session 1, what I'm going to cover for the day now. So let me just get inside to the session. So definition of big data, I don't want to give you a big thing. So big data is not just about size. It finds insights from complex, noisy, heterogeneous, longitudinal, and voluminous data. And the main aim is to answer the questions that were previously unanswered. So that is a part why we are going for big data here. So everyone knows about these 4 dimensions of big data, because the 4 dimension of these that plays a huge role in this data science. So the volume, variety, veracity, and velocity. So these all the big data is whatever we're going to study, and we know more about this big data. So here the challenging part is capturing, sorting, searching, sharing, and analyzing. So that is the major challenge what we face in big data. So let me get inside how exactly these complex data we can go for. So why? What is the reason behind for growing the complexity of healthcare data? So here you can see we have standard medical practices is moving from related ad hoc and subjective to decision makings. That is evidence-based healthcare, what we are going into standard medical practice, what it is there currently now. And here, the more incentives to professionals or hospitals to use EHR technology, because there are lot of data to be covered and lot of data analytics to be performed. So we should be more incentive to professionals and hospitals so that they can be full-fledged work on this EHR technologies. And the additional data sources you can see here, development of new technologies such as capturing devices, sensors, mobile applications. We have lot of data sources, and we have lot of technologies that has come into existence now. And collection of genomic informations become cheaper, and patients and patient social communications in digital forms are increasing, and more medical knowledge or discoveries are being accumulated. So this is the additional data sources what I just want to give you the reason beyond. And big data challenges in healthcare, that is inferring knowledges. You should know what is structured data and what is unstructured data, and how you're going to structure the unstructured data that you should understand properly. And once you know the understanding of this unstructured data or clinical notes, then you can efficiently you can handle the large volume of medical things. So for example, I am saying, for example, you're just going for a CT scan. Okay. So can any one of you just tell me what is the size of one CT scan image? Anyone? Just if you know, can anyone just put on just a guess? What is exact size of a CT scan image? What can be? Anyone? So guys, are you there with me? Hello? Hello, participants?
Yes, sir. Some of them is given there in the chat box.
Okay, sorry, I can't view the chat box, Gopi. If you can just tell me what will be, what is it? Okay, now otherwise I'll just open it on the back.
Sir, I will.
Okay, just I can look after. Deepak has given 100 to 500 KB per app. Okay, fine. You can just put the numbers. If you need, you can just put the numbers. Okay, don't know, but it must be huge. Okay, fine.
Sir,
See, okay, actually, if you see, it will be more than in gigabytes. One image, it will be more than one image of CT scan will be in more than gigabytes. So here the exact problem what the doctor faces is this image. He can just take that print out or X-ray film and he can give to that position, because for taking a CT scan image report, it takes around 8 hours of time to get your report. In some hospitals, they take at least 10 hours to give that report. So this is the major problem what we have inside this medical imaging data. I mean medical imaging data, because with that report only the doctor gives you the prescription what you should take and what you should not take. So there exists the biggest challenge. And the next is analyzing the genomic data, that is computationally intensive task and combining with standard clinical data. So what prescriptions, what medicines, what to be given. So there are a lot of complexities, because one doctor prescribes one medicine under one brand. So if you go to the medical shops nearby in your area, or if you go for out of station, if you go over there for medical to buy your medical these things, so what will happen is then he'll be saying that, sir, this brand is not available, we have another brand. So if you take another brand, there exists also another problem. So whether this brand suits for this or not. So all these challenging things, whatever just giving to you now. So these are all the complexity problems what we are facing in healthcare. So that is why we should have that EHR data, that is electronic health records we should maintain, and then it should be linked with the data. Because for example, recently when I went to the medical shop to buy medicines for my mom, so what happened is I got the brand name something different. And when I just told that, sir, we have a similar combination of this medicine, but it is from different company, whether you want to take. So I can't risk there, because the combination, whatever he's saying, it can be have some similarity, but there will be about 0.1 or 1% of variance, the data will be there. So if we have something electronic, this records, health records, which is linked with data science, and it can give you the similarities. Okay, you got this brand, okay, this brand and another company. So another company brand, what is the combinations, medicines, what they used, what is the percentage, what is the dosage level, everything you can get into this data science. By using this analytics, you can get a clear picture whether you can buy this or not, then you can decide on. So that is the thing, what it is a big data challenges in healthcare. And finally, the capturing the patient's behavioral data, that is through several sensors, that is we have heart sensor, we have pulse, direction, so many sensors we have. So all this data, whatever going to have, it is going to be get imported into the big data part. So this is the big data challenges in healthcare now, what we have. So overall goals of big data analytics in healthcare, that is, if we have this thing and a generic thing, that is electronic health records, genomics, behavioral, public health, all together gives an evidence insights, and it gives you the lower cost, and it can get improved outcomes through smarter decisions. Because when you go to one doctor and you're going to visit another one, then he will prescribe medicine, something, the different combinations. And this person gives you different, this doctor gives a different combination. So finally, we will be the victim here if you take different kind of medicines for one problem. So that is the thing. So once we have linked with all these analytical things, linked with big data, so that we can solve this problem, so that a doctor can see what exactly he has given the medicine through electronically, not through any papers or anything to be carried out by a patient. So that is the biggest goal what we are going to focus here. So that is why the big data analytics plays a huge role in analytics part in healthcare industries. So some of the motivating examples I'm just giving to you now. You can improve your healthcare. You can win some $30 billions that is given by the hospital. So here you can see, you can identify the patients who will be admitted to a hospital within next year using historical claims data. So all this data, they want all this data to bring into online. So this data, either the doctor can put inside online or a patient can put inside this medical record. So that is the thing. So here the goal is to identify the patients at high risk and ensure they get the treatment they need. And second thing, they have developed algorithms to predict the number of days a patient will spend in a hospital in the next year. So these all things, analytical things is needed, because you can see here now in the pandemic thing, what happened. You have seen in news channels, media papers, everywhere we have seen this in this pandemic, COVID. We don't have hospitals for patients. I mean, don't have any beds for patients. So people were tracking the hospital, where to go and where to take the treatment. So that is the biggest problem what we got. But in US, they had come up with this Heritage Health Prize. So this is the biggest thing what they had come up. So here the outcome, what is the outcome for this is the healthcare providers can develop new strategies to care for patients before it is too late. That is, it reduces the number of unnecessary hospitalizations. So you can go to the hospital for what problem you have, you can select your hospital and you can go and visit the doctor and you can take your treatment. And next one is improving the health of patients while decreasing the cost of care. And Winning Solutions uses a combination of several predictive models. So this is one of the example. And the second example you can see here, penalties for poor care. That is 30 days readmission. So these all things that has been introduced. So hospitalizations accounts for more than 30% of the true million annual cost of healthcare in the United States. Around 20% of all hospital admissions occurred within 30 days of previous discharge. So this is the place where they're looting out. So they want to give a solution here for you. So here you can see the Medicare penalizes hospitals that have high rates of readmissions among patients with heart failures, heart attacks, and pneumonia. So why they had giving penalties is so that these readmissions can be avoided. So from where these people are getting the data? From EHR, using data science. From that place, they're getting the analytic data and they're getting each and hospital track of records, whether this similar patient has admitted once again, I mean, how many times he was admitted in the hospital for the same problem. So if it is more than this thing, then they are charging penalties for them. And the next one is identifying patients at risk of readmissions can guide efficient resource utilizations. That is, they can save millions of healthcare dollars every year. So these are the best examples what I just want to give to you. So now you will be able to understand how exactly this electronic health records for data science is playing the role in healthcare. So if we get all this data through an analytical way, that's it. No hospital can loot us. They'll give the best treatment and they'll give the best doctors will take care of you and you can go for the best hospital, whichever you need. So that is the major thing. And this is example number 3, that is GE Head Challenge. There is a challenge that has been launched by this hospital. That is method for diagnosis and prognosis of mild traumatic brain injuries. And challenge 2, they had given us mechanics of injuries, that is innovative approach for preventing and identifying the brain injuries. So like this, they are giving to the peoples the open polls and open solutions, open ideas that can come up, and you guys can get into that. Whoever doing the research in medical things, they can have some proposals that can be linked with this health challenges, so that they can give you some better solutions and you can get some funding projects also. So that is the part why I just given this example number 3 for you now. And so how exactly the data collection analysis is happening? So this is the place, this is the exact way how it is getting up. So the admin will be entering about your pharmacy, laboratories, reports, radiology reports, narrative reports, everything that has been given to the EHR database. So from EHR database, it can be linked with the point of care, that is to the which doctor, to which hospital he has gone. And similarly, what is the current statistics of your, what is the current statistics of a health record? So whether you, what is the percentage of improvement in you? So that also we can analyze by using this data, that is by using the EHR database. And similarly, you can go and those people are working on research, R&D research and development inside the healthcare. They can work on some productive medicines also. So whether if we give this medicine, this is a percentage of increase in keeping their good health. So something like this, we can do have the research also. So the research data also is available. And the main thing is time-to-time data that will be updated through online itself, so that you can travel abroad or any place, any doctors abroad or in India or national or international, wherever you want, you can travel with just a unique ID with you, so that once you give this unique ID, you can link with your EHR database, and this doctor who is going to look after you presently in which country you are, So that doctor can see what prescriptions, what is the pharmacy thinks, what are the medicines prescribed for you, what is the laboratory report, what is the radiology that is scanning reports, everything he can see through online itself. So this is the place exactly where it is getting playing a huge role in the market. So here you can see effectively integrating and efficiently analyzing various forms of healthcare data over a period of time can answer many of the impending healthcare problems. So even if your relative has some problem, similar symptoms, similar things, whatever you are facing up, then you can prescribe the same medicines. The same thing what happened in this pandemic days, COVID. So once a guy got coronavirus positive, so he is giving a prescription. So what these people are doing, if any of the family members got inside, these people are not going to hospitals now. They are just seeing what are the symptoms. So based on the symptoms, they are giving the medicines to them and they're getting cured inside home itself. So these people became a doctor now. So all this data you can get accessed if once you get inside this EHR database. So now we'll see exactly what are the sources and techniques that has been used inside this big data. So outline of this thing, what you're going to see is you're going to see about electronic health record data, what is it, and healthcare analytic platform, and what are the different resources what you're going to use. So just a quick reply until here. Anything you want to ask or you want to have any queries, you can just come up, because it will take some time for the other things. Just you can give your open questionnaires. If you have anything, you can ask with me right now itself. Until here, what we have covered. If it is clear, you can just give me in the chat box. Okay, you can move on, or something you have any doubt, you can just give in chat box if you are get mute. Okay, super. So some of the participants giving clear. Okay. So frankly saying, you guys are top shots than me. So there is no saris needed. You can just call me SK. That's it. That will be more good. So the next thing, what you're going to see is about these three resources, strategies, and how it is getting performed now. So from here, the exact things will be covered for you. So if you have anything notepad, or if you are watching through anything, you can take a snap of slides also. And anyhow, I'll send you the PPT also, so that you can see in future also how exactly these things are happening. So electronic health data. So if we go for clinical data, there are two kinds of data that will be available. That is, one is structured and another is unstructured images and unstructured data. So anyone can just brief me what is structured and what is unstructured? Anyone can just put me in the chat box. So what exactly you understood about structured and unstructured data? Okay, formatted data. Okay, good. Okay, unstructured data. Unstructured data, anything?
Sir,
okay.
yeah. Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, it's like unstructured data will be, we are having the values, but we don't know the labels, maybe unstructured data.
Okay.
The data is available in database. It is a structured data.
Okay.
If it comes in a normal way, rather than the tabular column, if it comes in a text format or in a presentation mode, it is called as unstructured.
Okay, super. Good answer. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So if you see here in medical data, whatever the data we will be having, that will be lot of data will be in a structure, in an unstructured way only. So for getting one patient's data in unstructured way, that is highly impossible to get it up. So how we are going to organize the data and how we are going to take it up, because they will be having some null values. For example, we won't fill in the online forms whenever we are going to have the, when there is a mandatory field, we'll fill the data. When there is not in the mandatory, we don't fill the data, then the data will become a null value. So if you have null values inside one patient's records, that creates a huge impact inside. So we are going to solve this thing first, and then we are going to make this as a structured data, and then we are going to process the data into data analytics things. So that is the thing what I am giving here now. So genomic data, that is DNA sequences. We are not going to take any DNAs now. So you are going to see about clinical data today. So structured EHR, unstructured EHR, and medical images. And some behavioral data, we have social network data and mobility sensor data. So these are all the different kind of health data what is available exactly in healthcare now. Okay, so the next one. So here you can see billing data you will be having with ISD codes. So each and every bill has some unique numbers. And similarly, you guys are working in colleges, so you will be having a unique ID for your designations. For your is a professor means you will be having one different ID with employment IDs. So similarly, in medical field also we have different ISD codes. So here the ISD stands for International Classification of Diseases. So ICD stands for International Classification of Diseases. You can see it's down of this thing, one tabular column. You can see under 250, that is 250 is a diabetics things. The number is given for diabetics. So under the diabetics, we have different kinds of diabetics problems. So that has been given with some index values, 2.250.0, 25.01, 2.250.2, something like this that has been named. So you can see here, ISD is a hierarchical terminology of diseases, signs, symptoms, and procedure codes maintained by World Health Organization, WHO. From there only this ISD codes will be generated. And this, based on this ISD codes only, your report, the data has been stored. So in US, if you see in US, most people uses ISD 9 and rest of the users ISD code 10. Okay, so these are the two codes what we'll be using. So here the pros and cons you can see here. Pros is it is universally available, so that whenever you go on travel to different country for undergoing the treatment in US or in India, they can search for this code and they can exactly know, the doctor knows for what problem he has come to India or to US. So what treatment he should give. That is the pros what we have here. And the cons, medium recalls and medium precisions for characterizing the patients. So that is the major con we have here. So this is about the billing data, what exactly is. And the billing data, we have another thing as CPT codes. That is, CPT stands for Current Procedural Terminology. This is created by American Medical Association. So the CPT stands for Current Procedural Terminologies, that is created by medical associations. You can also see here now the codes for valuation and management, that the codes I had given. So that is for office or outpatient services, or hospital or observation service, hospital inpatient services, consultations, emergency department services, and critical care services. So these are the codes that have been used. And here the pros, high precisions, and cons is low recalls. So that is the thing. So billing data itself, we are categorized into two categories. So based on these two categories, and under the subcategories only, we will be analyzing the data, what we need to take up. Okay. So this is about this thing. And here the lab results. So lab results, the standard code for lab, what we use is LOINC. That is LOINC. That is logical observation identifiers, names, and codes. So you can see here the down, you can see here the lab code they had given. Some codes will be there, CO2, BUN, HDLC, K, Cl. This is potassium, calcium, glucose. So this is the codes what they were used. I'm little bit weak in chemistry part. So if you know chemistry very good, then you can understand these things. Okay. So here the challenges for lab is many lab systems still uses local dictionaries to encode the labs. They don't have a centralized systems, or they don't have an electronic system which that codes can be given up. Okay. And similarly, you have diverse numeric scales on different labs. That is, it often need to map to normal, low, or high ranges in order to be useful for analytics. So if you see in your medical lab records, if you want doctor, if they want to, for example, if your blood pressure is more than the level, then immediately you can see in your lab records that report whatever they're giving from the lab, that number, if it is less than the number what we prescribed, then they won't bold it up. And if it is if your blood pressure is more than 150, then it will be coming into bold. So these all comes from manual things. These all things are manually entered, not through system generated things. So that is a challenge for labs. And here the missing data is not all patients have all labs. That is, the patients visits to one lab, and if you go for another lab that things are not there, means then you should walk back to another different kind of lab to take another report. So that is the point here, the missing data. That is, not all patients have all labs. And the order of a lab test can be predictive thing, not an exact thing. That is a predictive thing. For example, here the BNP indicates high likelihood of heart failures. but that is not thing. That is given as an assumption thing. So what we used to do, by seeing this assumption thing itself, we'll get heart attack. So that is the thing. So all the lab results, whatever you're getting, that is a predictive thing only. And even now, recently in the history, what happened is my friend has tested. My friend has gone to US and he came back last 1 year back and he got corona positive in one lab. And he want to cross check for the result. He went to the government hospital for checking the lab. Then he got negative there. So just imagine if he takes that private hospital result as corona positive, and if he goes to private hospital and admitted, then you know how much money has been spent for this corona positive thing. But luckily, he has taken another second option with his own doctor consultant, and he got in from government hospital. He got as corona positive. I mean negative. Then the result is negative. The problem, you know, there is a mild point variation. That is, for example, I don't know how many of them knows about this thing. How they are detecting the corona positive, negative. How they are detecting is your if your level is level of your thing is less than 51.2 means it gives corona. Less than 51.2 is corona negative, and 51.2 is positive. So when they tested the result, he got in one private hospital. They had given with 2 decimal points. Okay, 51.25. So once it gets us 51.25, then the value has given as greater. So he got as positive. But in a government hospital where they're testing in the lab, that decimal values they had kept as 1 decimal point. So that is 51.2. So then they tested as negative there. So this is the place where the problem exists. So this all data, whatever it is getting, is a predictive thing. So with the predicted data, we should not take anything serious. If you take serious, similarly, you can face the same problem. Here you can see, that BNP indicates high likelihood of heart failures. So by seeing this itself, we'll get heart failures. So this is about the lab results. So data analytics to be performed here. So that is a place how the data science has been applied here. Next, meditations. That is the prescribed medicines, what you are going to give. So each and every medicine drug, whatever you're going to have, that has a unique codes. That is standard code is NDC. So that is National Drug Code, NDC, by Food and Drug Administrator is FDA, which gives a unique identifier for each drugs. So all the drugs prescribed for you under the patient name with the standard code, all the data will be put in inside a bill or in a paper. That is a prescribed paper what the doctors prescribe to us. No, the one notepad. In that notepad, he'll be prescribing this medicine for this many days. These are the three times you should take this medicine. All these things are paper data. So it is not electronic health records we don't have. So for this we need. So because here you can point, I have mentioned here point as it has been not used universally by EHR systems. And 2 specific drugs with the same ingredients but different brands have different NDCs. This is the point what I was mentioning to you in the previous thing. That is same ingredients but different brands have different NDCs. That is National Drug Codes. So this is the place where we will be falling into troubles, because not there we will get the exact data. So such data, the 2 specific 2 drugs, the same ingredients, it should be get into the analytical part so that a patient can easily identify or understand whether he can go and buy with a different company brand with the same ingredient or not. So that exactly the place played by data analytics here. And you have here RX norms, that is a normalized naming system for generic and branded drugs. That is by National Library of Medicines. So this is about medications. I don't want to give too much of these things. So here you can see here clinical notes. In this image itself, you can see here anxiety state numbers 300.00, depressive order NEC 3 level 1. So can any of you say whether this is a structured data or semi-structured data or not structured data? Anyone? Just tell me whether it's a structured data. Okay, first is semi. Okay. Jai Bharati, I think ma'am has given one semi. Okay. So here you can see we will be having this many kinds of data. So once we have in this such kind of data in a paper, how can a doctor easily identify what is the prescription, what are the things? Whether you guys able to understand what exactly it is? No, we can't, because Here, clinical notes contains rich and diverse source of informations. That means lot of details that has been given in your reports. You can see whether if you has given for any, I mean, if you had gone for this corona this thing or something, or what are the health issues, whatever you have, they will be giving different notes on that platform, so different 5 kind of points. So this is the points, what this is the impact. So this is the, because of this impact he got this problem. So, and also challenges for handling clinical notes. So for example, how many of you accept with me, doctors writing is understood by a common person or not? Doctors handwritten medicines are able to understand by a common person or not? Just a question. Okay, Saravanan. Okay, Saravanan sir has given no. Okay, super. Because we used to make fun of this, right? When we are kids, no. Some good comedies we have, no. We have some good comedies in healthcare regarding the doctors. Vivek sir has given. He's passed out. He is not there anymore now. Vivek sir, a famous comedian. So he used to give, no. In one movie, he has given some Vicks itself. He will be writing in a different way, and he will be giving to him as, you go and buy this, your headache and this thing will be gone. So when he asked what is this, what he have written, this is Vicks. So this is a doctor's handwritten thing. So no one should understand. Otherwise, he will become a doctor. Something he will be mentioning in that comedy exactly. Okay. So here, challenges for handling clinical notes. That is ungrammatical short phrases. These short phrases will be understandable only by the pharmacy guy, because he used to give for that. And you can see each and every clinic has one pharmacy besides by that, so that this guy, pharmacy guy, will be able to understand what exactly he has written. Sometimes we'll be having a problem with abbreviations, misspellings. So this misspellings leads to different medicines that the pharmacy guy can give to us, because we don't know exactly what the doctor has written the prescription. But the pharmacy guy will think of something. Okay, what is the problem? He will be analyzing of once he is not able to understand what medicine the doctor has written, then immediately this pharmacy guy will ask with us, so what kind of problem you have? So what problem you had, you come to doctor. Then we'll be telling to him, I had a severe cold and headache. So based on that, he will take an assumption, that is a predictive thing he will analyze, and he will think that, okay, this may be the medicine the doctor has given, and he will give the medicine to us. But the sad part, you know, the medicine what he has given and the doctor is given is something different. So this pharmacy guy will become a doctor to us, who is prescribing a medicine to us with a new thing. So that is the place what I'm mentioning here. That is abbreviations and misspellings and semi-structured informations, copy paste from other sources, that is lab results, visual signs, and structured templates. We have SOAP notes, subjective, objective assessment plans. So all these things in the medical report that is prescribed. So on this thing, they'll be typing up. So while they're typing itself, they'll be having some grammatical mistakes, so that once this report is taken to any other doctor, he won't be understand what exactly is trying to say. So again, what they will say is, you take a new report, you to go for a new CT scan and get the data from our hospital. This data, what you got from that hospital is not clear. So this is the place where the problem exists. That is clinical notes, because everything is handwritten or hand typed things. So they're exactly the problems. So this is about the clinical notes, what exactly we are going to focus. So the next thing. So finally, the summary of EHR data, if you see here, availability, recall, precision, format, pros, cons, if you can see here. ICD, what is that? CPT, what is the analytics things why I have shown to here. So clinical notes, that is medium, that is okay, we can able to understand. But sometimes inpatients, high outpatients, variables, we can't able to understand, means that's it. And the pros here is more details about doctor thoughts and difficult to process. So that is the problem, because there some doctors will be, I mean, in short, what exactly the problem, they'll give you in short, and they will be explain to you what the problem is. Some doctors will give in big stories. Even these doctors read the story also, they can't able to understand what the problem you are facing. So again, there will be another bill comes to you to get your another new kind of report from the same hospital where you're going to take your treatment. So that is the process, that is the thing exactly. So until now, what we have thought of structure these things, all this is a summary of EHR data, what it is shown here. Okay, and then now we are going to analytics platform. So are you guys with me? So any doubts till now? Any doubts till now? Okay, super. So I think it is not boring, right? I'm giving you more and more information about EHR because you guys are working as a faculty, so that it's a possibility for you all to work on with research things. So that is the reason why I has given these parts. Yeah. So next is analytical platforms. So what are the different kinds of analytical platforms? What we have is large scale healthcare analytic platforms. So how this exactly this place? So this is the analytical platform. So this from this place only, the once your data has been structured, that you have organized your data in a structured format, then we'll be coming to the analytical platform. So analytical platform consists of three parts, that is information extraction, feature selection, and predictive modeling. So in this information extraction, you can see here, you will be having a structured electronic health record data. From that, we can extract exactly what we need because the data now is structured. So once it gets structured, we can take for one problem, what is the exact thing and how many patients are there on this same problem, where all they're taking treatments, everything can be analyzed. So this comes under information extraction. And your feature selection, you can see here, based on your patient representation, he can take the exact context from the data, what we have through EHR, and then he can select the data and he can go for predictive modeling. That is how he can classify how the regression has been taken and how the patient similarities has been taken into considerations. Because for one problem, if you go for some cardio problems, there may be some patients who got rectified because of this, some medicines prescribed from different hospitals. And in another hospital, some negative results has been come into, that is a patient may be died because of this cardiac problem based on the treatment what they had given. So what they can do take here is the hospital which got a positive thing, he can just analyze there and he can predict his model with that, and he can see where exactly the problem exists, and based on that thing he can go for the medicine what he want to prescribe for the patient. So that is the exact thing how it is going to work on. So this is the analytic platform what you're going to work on. So let us move on to the next slide now. Let me just give you one by one now how the information extraction has taken place, how the feature selection will be taken place, and how the predictive modeling will be taken place. So clinical text mining. So the first process is text mining in healthcare, that is information extraction. So here we'll be going for name entity recognition. So with the name, with the patient unique ID number, we will be returning all the informations whatever we have. And then we will be going for clinical text versus biomedical text. That is well-written medical test data, whatever that is known as biomedical text. And clinical text is written by clinicians in the clinical settings. So always to remember, whenever you go for your blood report or the blood test report or something, this clinical guy will give his report. Okay. So once that report has come into your hand, you will go and see the doctor, and there the doctor will prescribe you what to be done and what are the meditations to be taken up. He will be prescribing. Okay. So that is biomedical text, and clinical text that is prescribed by clinicians. So you can't take clinician's report, whatever he is going to give, you can't depend on that, and you can't predict inside this report, and you can't take your medicines with another doctor. The doctor is going to prescribe, the same doctor is going to give you some suggestions for medical meditations. So this is the place exactly where the text mining will be taken place. And next one is auto coding, that is extracting codes from clinical text. So as I told to you in the previous slides, we have seen for potassium K, calcium Cl, for heart failures B and C. So these codes, what are these codes? With these codes, they will be extracting the codes and they'll be giving the diagnostics results. So here the problem is automatically it assigns diagnosis code to clinical text. So doctor will be giving to you take your potassium result, hemoglobin count, all these things you go and take it from the blood report. So once you go for the clinical place where you want to give your blood report, I mean blood thing, there exactly what they will do, they'll just write your number, write your name, your phone number, and they'll be taking for what report to be taken. They'll be writing in points, the big note in a book, in a lecture. They'll be writing in ledger and they'll be giving all the data. Once that thing is done, then they'll be taking your blood. 3 bottles they'll take, 1 for hemoglobin, 1 for blood sugar level, and 1 for this thing. So 3 times they will take the blood, and from this thing, the 3 things, whatever, if it is going to be hemoglobin, then hemoglobin code will be automatically generated there, HPD. So count should be 15 to 20. So if it is less than 15, then it is a problem. It is greater than 20, then also it is a problem. It is in between, then no problem. So like this, the data will be assigned automatically by the system itself. Okay, so if it comes between 15 to 20, that is, if your blood count, if your hemoglobin count comes in between 16, then no problem. 14, okay, then there is a problem. So automatically in the report, that line tag will be coming into that. So that is a point here I had given here. Automatically assigns the diagnosis codes to clinical text. And significance, cost is approximately $25 billion per year in the US. For this clinical text to be extracted, they are getting 25 billions per year, the cost of approximately. And here the available data, what they have is medical NLP challenges from 2007. So these are the available data, what they have. And potential evaluation matrix, you can see here how this matrix has been calculated and how this precision is calculated and how this recall is calculated, you can see in the formula. So it is measured, the potential evaluation matrix has been measured by using 2p into r divided by p plus r, that is precision and recall. So this is the things, how this auto coding has been taken place. And contest, this is not needed actually. This is just for contesting I had given. So we'll be going for now case by case how this data has been extracted. That is feature extraction, the first part of your data analytics. Okay, so you can see here this is the case query. So patient with smoking habit and weight loss. The frontal and lateral chest X-ray shows a mass in the first segment of the upper right lobe as well as right halar enclosement, the obliteration of the right face. So now tell me, did you guys understand anything from this note? From this case query, are you able to get anything? Just tell me. Just you can type in the chat box. Are you able to capture anything from this text, from this input? Okay, I think no. Okay, fine. Ranjana ma'am has given no. So, okay, somewhat. We Saranan sir has somewhat. Okay. Okay. Okay, Rajesh Kumar has given yeah, sir. Okay, fine. Okay, super. So let us get inside the slide now. I'll show you now. So when you're going to give such things inside your medical report, even a common person by reading this thing, he will understand that, okay, I got this many problems in my health, so I'm going to die soon. So that is the only one thing it comes to his mind by seeing all these things. Even this data, once you give to a doctor, then immediately the doctor will get sometimes confused. What exact the problem he has? They had given all these things. So what it shows, what it is. So it takes time for him to analyze what the exact thing is. So whenever you're going to give some inputs or case queries to a doctor, if your case queries are not long, not all words are used, and IDF does not reflect importance, and semantics doesn't weight. So then you can have this challenge as query weighing. That is patient. So patient has one problem, that is smoking habit is there. So that is why he has got some weight loss. And he got a chest X-ray which shows a mass segmentation, that is right upper lobe and right hilar enlargement is there. So from these key points, the doctor will be able to understand exactly what he is facing up. So here, there is no need of queries to be long. This much of big things not to be mentioned in the report. Okay, so this is the challenge one, what we used to face here. So challenge one, query weighing. And the next method, semantic query weighing. That is, included UMS semantic types, that is disease or syndrome. This is the keywords I'm giving to you. Disease or syndromes, body part organs or organ components, sign or symptoms, finding, acute. So once we find these words inside your query, then your electronic health records, whatever you're going to manage through data science, that can be easily able to capture what type of problem he has and what for this type problem, what we should prescribe. Everything will be linked into the analytic part. So here you can identify the importance, what type of based on the definitions, and you can assign higher weights to query words under these types. Okay. So in the next challenge, you can see here vocabulary gaps. So there will be a gapping because not everyone will be typing in the system the same way. And if you're going to type through a laptop or through desktop, there will be some line spacings will be getting up. So because of this line spacings also, there will be some problems. So here you can see matching variants, X-rays, X-rays, X-rays. So something you can see here, these words are same, but you have some different dimensions. And matching synonyms, you can see here CT or X-rays, and there is a knowledge gaps. So you can see here heterogeneous enhancements, dot enlarged. So if you give to some machine learning systems, these keywords, once you give to them, the system itself get confused what to be given as the output. So while you are going to have some these things, all this data, the query, whatever the patients for the query giving up, it should be structured way. So all this kind of errors, these gaps, this matching variants, matching synonyms, and knowledge gaps, all these things to be considered and to be given exact data to the system so that it can analyze the thing and it can give you the exact thing what the doctors needs. So this is the challenge too, that is vocabulary gaps. And the general method, what you have is additional query keywords. So whenever you guys writing in publications, paper publications, we will be writing down keywords. So anyone just, can you describe what is the purpose of keywords while you're writing any paper in your abstract? Anyone? Anyone? What is the exact, what is the purpose of keywords? Because we are faculty, so that you guys used to write publications, right? Paper publications and Springer or the things. So once you write your abstract, on the abstract down, you will be giving the keyword. So what is the role of keyword here? What exactly it does? Anyone? Okay, no worries. Let me give that. So these keywords. So the keywords gives you an author or any people who is going to view this report. It gives you that, okay, these may be the problems. These are the keywords that has been used in this entire thing report. So these are the problems what we should focus here. So then immediately they can ask the physicians to provide additional keywords, and it can adding them with low weight helps so that they can analyze and they can get the exact data what they need and to be prescribed. The medicine to be prescribed also that can be given up. And any potential diagnosis keywords helps greatly and gives us insights into better query formulations. So that is the part, what is the purpose of keywords in this. So that is why whenever you can just, if you, once you go home or if you are in home, if you have any medical histories, you can just note out, you can take your report and you can see there is a column called keywords at the bottom. They'll be mentioning exactly what problem and what is the keyword that has been there. So once you give this keyword, because no doctor will sit and study all these parts, all this theoretical thing. He simply sees the keywords and he will analyze, okay, this is the problem he's facing up by seeing your X-ray. That's it. Okay, so this is the method what we should use, not the previous method what you have seen. Okay, so this is the method, so that while you are going to give this thing as a machine learning or things, you're going to give your data, it will be easy for us to analyze it. Okay, so next, let us move to the next slide. And the next challenge number 3 is pseudo feedbacks. That is general vocabulary gap solutions. Apply pseudo relevance feedbacks. What if? Very few of the top end are relevant, no idea which keywords to pick up. So this is the feedback what you'll be taking up. Okay, and medical subject heading feedback is not needed now. So this is the example what I just want to give to you. That is a feedback what it is there. So doctor, there are 5 doctors that has been taken into this thing. So based on the query statement what he has shown in the previous slides, from that we had filtered from the list and we have taken as lung neoplasms and bronchostic is the problem what the patient is suffering of. Okay, so that, and also there is another two keywords what it is there, that is cystic fibrosis and hepatitis. So for this cystic fibrosis, one doctor will be a specialist, and the green color what it is showing is this doctor is specialist in all these things. So you can go and approach for these two parts, but remaining two things you should go for Dr. 3. So we should analyze it based on the thing. So the first doctor will give you the filtration list, that is he is having this thing and we can prescribe the things. And cystic fibrosis because of reduced weight he has, and hepatitis because of reduced weight. So this data, how we got, we had made it a structured data. So that is the reason why it is easily understandable to the doctors, so that he can prescribe based on the feedback what he has received from the clinicians. So based on that, Dr. 1, Dr. 2, Dr. 4 will be based on this lung failures and bronchostic with the medicines will be prescribed. And the Dr. 3 and 5 is good in the cystic fibrosis and hepatitis. So he can give the prescribed medicines where you want to get it. So once we go to hospitals itself, you can see there, one doctor will be specialized in one thing and another doctor will specialize in one thing. So once his part is done, then he will be advised to us to go and meet him so that he can give you some meditations to be taken for this problem. So that is the filtration list what should prepare. So once we have given this thing in a clear systematic way, then it will be easily understandable to the doctors what to be given to the patient. So this is the place where the analytics will be placing up. Okay, so instead of this data, if you give something like this doctor, then immediately the doctor will get confused what problem he is facing, what I should give. So once we had given us a structured data, then it will be easy for him to understand. So this is exactly how the structured data will coming up finally. So here the data, the report, what we got from clinicians, and from this the doctor's knowledge they put together, and they'll be checking up what is the exact problem, what is the performance, where exactly is facing, what is the thing we should do. All these thing improvements he will be analyzing, and then he will be prescribing you what medicine to be given. So this is the data exactly how we should give to the doctor. So this is the format what we used to see in the data report while we go for any clinic for blood test or something. We'll be getting 3 to 4 pages of reports that will be in a tabular columns, tabular things. On the top you will be having the heads part and down the values, and if it is more than the value what it is there, then it will be get into bold. And otherwise some in clinicians they will be just marking that with a red pen, that is there is some problem here. So you should go and see the doctor. For this doctor he is in first floor, and another doctor problem he is there in second floor. Just approach these two and get your meditations and get your problem resolved. So this is the place where the data and knowledge helps the doctor to give you the best thing. Okay, and case 2, there is heart failure signs and symptoms. So these are the major criteria and minor criteria what we will be having here. I'm just giving up, I'm just running it up. Okay, I don't want to discuss on this. Anyhow, I'll be sharing the slide with ma'am so that they'll give you to the slide so that you can look after it. So heart disease, heart failures, there exists the biggest thing. There exists the biggest topic that comes into existence, that is natural language processing, NLP pipeline. Without this NLP, nothing it can be enabled. So that is the place where we have encoded documents, and then we'll be having a lexical lookup on the things whatever we have, and then we will be giving the data to the machine learning part and what to be performed. Based on that, it can encounters the label valuations, and based on the criteria, the data extraction will be coming out from the data from natural language processing. So this is the place where the heart rate things will be taken place. This is the performance on encounter level on test. Once you give your heart results to the data part, machine learning part. Okay, so this is an example. I don't want to take all these things to you. Let me go to the next part of the analytic platform, that is feature selection. So knowledge plus data, that is known as feature selection. Without prior knowledge on particular problem or anything, the doctor can't prescribe any meditations to a patient. And based on the data, what we have in hand, that is medical data report, that is electronic health record, based on that only the doctor will be prescribed you the medicine. So that is the feature selections. So here the knowledge data, so both should be combined together to give a good results. So knowledge is not nothing but knowledge base, risk factor gathering, and knowledge risk factors should be known, and then clinically the data should be given, and the data will be processed, based on the data processing, as I told you, hemoglobin count 15 to 20. If you are below 15, then there will be some prescription that will be given to you. That is, your hemoglobin is less. So you should go and take these meditations. And what's the target condition? So what condition you should follow? All these things you should follow. This is clinical data. So once this knowledge and data combine together, then only it gives you the combinations. What to be prescribed to the patient, what should not be prescribed to the patient. So that should be analyzed here. That is combining knowledge and data-driven risk factors. So these are the risk factor argumentations, how exactly it is has been measured in the system at the back end. You can't see all these correlations. These things will be shown to you in the next thing. I'll tell you how to predict all these things in the these thing examples. So this is not needed now. And next is predicted modeling. So predictive modeling, it comes with predictive modeling with continuous outcomes and categorical outcomes. So there are two outcomes here. That will be regression and classification. So I will show you at the end of the session how this regressions has been done and how this classification also done. I'll show to you in Excel sheet itself without writing a single line of code, so that you guys also can try it out. Maximum, I know everyone knows about this thing, but let me just give you a quick glance of that in Excel, how we can do that also. So patient similarity case study they have taken here for predictive modeling is heart failure onset patients. So you can see here, there are a lot of EHR databases on similarities we will be having, that is heart failure problems, and the doctors also will be linked with this. And what are the meditations also, meditation medicines, what they are given to the patients also will be given in the system, so that everything will be linked. And if you are a new patient that gets inside this EHR database, then we can search for the similarities and you can see the symptoms, what others faced and what you are facing. And then you can search for the doctor who you need to be seen. There is a specialist doctor on the particular part, and then you can go for your meditation. So that is the thing what it has been given. So for example, the best example I can show to you here is the pandemic situation, what we have now. When this coronavirus has come into India, there are only 3 types of symptoms they have defined first. After that, they kept on adding it one more, the symptoms. Because when this corona has came into existence, only 3 problems, the 3 things. One is fatal headache, vomiting, and this smell sense. And after that, they told that without smell sense also the corona is getting up. And without headache, the 3 things say higher the fever. So many symptoms they had brought into existence. So this data from where they got, all these things has been stored in a clinical data, that is EHR, electronic health records. They are stored in a system, and these similarities has been linked with so many databases. And then finally they came up with these are the symptoms of coronavirus. So if you have any of this part, go and approach the doctor. So that is the thing what I had shown here in the diagram now. So that is the thing what I showed. You have the basal symptoms. We can see that what are the medicines that has been prescribed for this problem, and what is the graphical thing. How many users are using this medicine, and how many of them has good impact on this medicine. Everything can be seen inside this diagrammatic way in the graphical things. Okay, and then we can have some summary on patient similarities, and you can come up with a good results. So this is exactly how this predictive modeling has been taken place. So predictive. So it is always a predictive thing. It is not a confirmed thing. Okay. So next is a case study of earlier heart detection failures. You can see here it's a complex heart failure is a complex disease, that is cardio arrest. In this coronavirus itself, there are so many problems. So many patients died because of this heart failures. This heart failures because of this corona, because it has impacted inside their heart with the blood cells. So that is a problem. So in US, every time in US, 5 million of heart patients are there in US, and 0.5 million new cases every year it comes into existence. In India, we have around 1.2 million cases. That is all under the age 30 years. This heart failure, heart cases, I'm saying in India, I'm saying. And 20% of lifetime risk after 40 years old. And 48% 5 years mortality rate. So don't think that from where these numbers he got. These numbers I got from the data sets. From the data sets, based on my requirement, I have taken it. How many heart patients are there in US? How many new cases in a year I'm getting? How many are after 40 years? And how many are under 40? and what is the 5 years mortality rate. So all these things I had get the data from the data sets, what it is available in electronic health records itself. So from this, I performed the analytics part, and I got this percentage for you guys to be projected here. Okay, so this is how exactly these things are happening. And you can see here predictive modeling study designs. The goal of predictive modeling is to classify heart failures cases against control patients. And population, we are taking the population. From the population, we are taking the number of cases, and from this thing, and we are going to get the controls. Because for predictive modeling study design, the best model design, what I can tell you is everyone are seeing in news channels. Tamil Nadu, this many corona patients, this many got rectified, this many deaths, and this many hospitalized. All the numbers, whatever it is showing up, all these things or data sets, whatever we're getting from different kind of resources. So based on the resources only, these people are giving you an output to you so that you guys will be in safe side. Okay, so that is exactly how this data science has been applied inside this EHR, that is electronic health records. Okay, so this is about the predictive modeling setups, how it is shown. Then it will be showing an observation window, and it is a prediction window. You can see in two kind of windows, whatever we have. Okay, so these are the features. Diagnosis. Okay, these are not needed for you now, because from this thing, from this feature things only, this predicted graphs has been given to you. How exactly it is classified. So prediction window is 180 days. Classifier, I'm using a classifier as random forest, and evolution mechanism as 10-fold cross validations I'm giving. So based on the 10-fold cross verification, I'm getting the heart failure onsets, how many people are getting from 0.6 to what is the accumulated level, what it is there, and how many people are affecting. All these observations I'm getting from this data sets only. Okay, so this is how exactly these observations are made per day. Okay, so this is about your analytic platform, information extraction, feature selection, and predictive modeling. Are you able to get me? Just a quick reply. Until here, can you able to get it? Any doubt until here? Are you able to understand the analytical platform, the three level of platforms, how it is getting into existence? Okay, superb. I think everyone is getting up, I suppose. If it is getting up, then it is good here. If you have any doubt, then you can ask with me. That is not a problem. I'm open to everything. Okay, I can talk to you on these platforms also. So this is about analytical platform. So let us move on the resources. That is unstructured clinical data, where you can get your data. So these are some of the websites. I didn't check all the websites, but I have checked only few links which I will be sharing with you, where unstructured clinical data and structured clinical data are available. So these are the data sets from where I got some of the data sets which I got, and Texas hospital inpatient discharges, healthcare data sets, standalone claim public use files. This PDF files, this HTML files has some data sets here. And this is a resource which I have taken from IIT guy, and US Austin, who has given me this data. That is Professor Joydeep Ghosh. And the softwares, what they used to have for data analytic part in medical history in the previous thing is MetaMap and CTEX, Apache.org. So you can just visit these websites and you can go for online analytic tools itself. You can go for it. Okay, these are all analytical tools what it's getting up. So until today, until now, we had covered about some motivating examples and what are the different source and techniques of big data and healthcare we have covered. That is structured EHR data and how this unstructured clinical notes has taken into consideration. And from this unstructured clinical notes, how the data has been structured and how these things are performed by using the analytical process also we have seen. Now we are going to see about the medical imaging data. So this is one of the major thing in healthcare. That is medical imaging data. So image data, if you see, as I told you, it will be very big. So by 2015, I mean, this is the previous data what I'm going to show to you. The average hospital will have 2/3 of petabytes, that is 665 terabytes of patient data. That is 80% of which will be unstructured image data like CT scans and X-rays, which will be of huge size. Even you can't share through network. So there exists the biggest thing. So if we need one data record or one data medical image, you should wait for 8 hours or 6 hours to get your report. So there exists a problem. So if you are going to wait for 6 hours, so that 6 hours is a wastage time for us to sit in hospital. In this 6 hours, we don't know how many things we are going to get into our body, that is side effects, because we'll be sitting with so many kind of patients. So that is the place where there is a huge gap. So how we are going to analyze this thing? So they had bought into new technologies inside healthcare. They had come up with compression technologies. So many things has been come into existence, but whether these all are sustained or not, that is a huge question inside medical history. So here you can see medical imaging archives are increasing by 20 to 40% every year. And picture archives communication system, that is system used for storage and retrieval of images, also getting stored. So if you have your own server of around 64 or 600 GB or something, or terabytes or GB or something, whatever it is, system you have in your server in your hospital, if it gets full, what they're doing, just taking the backup, and then the backup is getting deleted, and then they're storing the new kind of records, new data. So if a patient who gone 3 years back and he comes back with the same problem the 6th year, if he's facing the same problem in 6th year, when he comes and approaches the doctor, when the doctor surfs internet, surfs in the profile of this patient name, if the data is not there, then what doctor will do? Because the doctor he has visited maybe not be the same. He might be gone to some other hospital. So there exists the biggest problem. So how we are going to solve all these things? How we can apply this thing? Healthcare domains, how we can apply this imaging, this thing for data analytics part, how we can store the data. There exist the biggest challenges. So here you can see the popular imaging modalities in healthcare domains, that is computed tomographies, positron emission tomographies, and magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. So all these images, whatever you're seeing, it is of high resolutions, because this thing should be with high resolution. If it is not high resolution, you can't analyze any data inside. That is a problem. So the main challenge with the image data is that not only huge, but it's also high dimensional and complex. And extraction of important and relevant features is a daunting task. That is the biggest thing. And many research works applied image features to extract the most relevant images for a given query. Nothing is possible. Everything is under research stage. So this is a place where you can have your own research. Popular imaging modalities and how we can link these image modalities, these popular imagings, MRI, PET, CT, CD images, everything, how we can get into this data science and how we can link with the data, with the patient record, with your EHR record data, that creates an impact. So this is the place where you can have. So this is the medical imaging retrieval system, what we are using right now. So you have here biomedical image database, what you'll be having. From that, we will be having feature extractions. So feature extraction has been done with some algorithms. And based on the algorithms, they will be having a final trained module. That is a image with the size what we need. That is compression technique will be applied. And retrieval system, we will be having different kind of, the same image will be distorted into many. How many of them seen CT images? The CT image for one image, the brain scan itself, it will be given in 32 popular ways, 32 subdivisions, so that the doctor can analyze each and every image, where exact the problem he is facing up, where exact the clot is. Everything can be done. So that is through retrieval systems that have been using. And finally, that query results, and based on the query result, the performance validations has been called. Okay, so this is how exactly the medical image retrieval systems has been worked on. And content-based image retrieval, we have two components, that is image features and assessment of similarities. That is image features, we are going to bridge the gap between visual content and numerical presentations. And assessment of similarities, that is image features based on mathematical analysis, which compares descriptors across different images. So for example, this is the pregnant ladies, when we go for a CT scan or something for our the baby scans or something, we'll be going, no? For that, you can know, these people will be putting some marks on that, no? This is your leg, this is your limb, this is your hand, this is the face. They'll be putting, once they are putting it, they'll be having some measurements. And also you will be seeing in that image retrieval itself, what is the baby's heart rate, what is the heart rate, between heart rate, what is the exact heart rate it is pumping, the heart is pumping, everything you can see in the report of this CT scan. So these data, how this coming up with these two components only, that is image features and assessment of similarities. So these all things that has been taken into considerations. This is the features we don't need now. And this is the modularity classification task. This is purely on medical side. Just for a glance, I had given here. The modularity classifications has been done 3 categories. That is compound or multi-pane images, diagnostic images, and generic biomedical illustrations. So diagnostic means you have some different diagnosis methods. You have lot and lot 3D reconstruction, microscopy, PET, CT scans, so many things. And generic biology illustrations we have. Why this thing has been classified is, this classification is mainly important. One of the most important filters that clinicians would like to be able to limit their search by. So for example, ultrasound scan, if you need, you can just search for ultrasound and then you can put your patient ID and you can get your patient ID with the prescription, what the report he has, with an attachment of an image, that is a diagnostic image, the X-ray image, and then which doctor he has seen and what is the prescription that has given. Everything can be linked with the data analytics part. So that is the modularity classification task, how it is performed here. Okay. And this is image based and case based queries. Image based retrieval, that is nothing but it is purely based on classic method retrieval task, that is through queries. What is your problem? How many days you are facing? If you are facing, what are the symptoms you have? Based on that things, query based thing, and what is the image, what you have retrieved from the thing, from that part only the data has been given. And here case based retrieval, this is more complex task when compared to image based, because this is closer to clinical workflow. So from the clinical data, what data we are getting up from them, based on that only the doctor will be giving the diagnosis or meditations to be followed up for the patient. So if the clinical guy who is working under the workflow, if he has given some wrong data or under the different name, that's it, his life is gone. So that is why it is told us this is more complex task. Okay, and the goal is to retrieve cases including images that might be best suit the provided case descriptions. So what are the challenges with image data? Extracting informative features, because if the image size is around 10 to 10, 10 into 10 into 10, or 9 into 10 image size, then a doctor can't zoom himself inside and see exactly where the problem is. He should have some different cutouts. So while we are performing MATLAB, we'll be giving one input as an image, right? And then we'll be extracting data from that image. So many images will be extracted with different kind of algorithm classifiers. So based on that, we'll be giving our results. So that is the thing, extracting informative features and selection of relevant features. And then finally, integration of image data with other data available. That's it. So that is all the data that is available in electronic health records. We'll be link up all these things together, and then we'll come up with a final conclusion with your image data. Okay. So this is the public available medical repositories. There is a link which I has given here where exactly we can get. And these all the data analytic part, how it is performed, what is heart rate, what is the UCG, all the things has been considered into here. Okay. And some of the things we have currently in the market now, we have home monitoring and sensing technologies. Even with the cell phones, we can detect what is your heart rate, what is your blood pressure, and how much kilometers you walk, how much calories you have burned. All this new kind of technologies that has come into existence. So one question for everyone: how many of them are using that thing, smart devices? How many of them are using some smart devices? That is for measuring your heart rate, or even if we are using Samsung, Oppo mobiles, we have smart healthcare. How many of them are using these apps? Anyone? Okay, super, ma'am. Super, ma'am. Ma'am, one question for the Ranjana, ma'am. The question for you is whether you are able to analyze all the things. How much distance you are walking per week, how much you are covering, so how much calories are burned. Everything can you get in a graphical representation? Okay, not tried. Okay, fine. So if not tried, ma'am, just check it out. Because once you have activated such kind of apps, you know, these apps also linked with data science. So why they have linked all these things is this gives you an analytical view of things, how exactly the graph goes and what is the different calorie levels and how many kilometers you're covering per day, per week, per month, and per year. So all the things from this thing, as a common person, we can analyze ourselves how much calories are burnt inside us and how much of how much, I mean, what we can say is okay, how our heart is working now, functioning now. So okay, yes, that the data I have seen, not in graphical manner. Okay, you can see the data, ma'am. Once you have click on weekly or monthly, then you can see some graphical things we'll be having. Even the best example for you is if you guys are using Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, you have an option called Insights. When you post one information in Facebook and click on Insights, and you can see in a graphical way exactly what is shown, how many people have visited, from where, which country your data has been visited, and how many likes you got, what are the different comments you got. So all this in an Insights manner, you can get it. So all these things has been linked up with data science. So don't think that data science is anywhere, nowhere. Data science is everywhere. Even our mobile technologies, the apps, whatever we're working on, everywhere this data science is applied. And even for the smart devices, what we are using right now, that is home monitoring or sensing technologies, whatever we have with us, it is there. All these technologies has been existed into these things. And this is the public health and behavior data repositories. I think one sir has requested for where we can get this model, or where we can work on this thing. So I'll give you, sir, I'll give you the information at the last of the session, at the end of the session today. Okay. And so until here, everything is clear. A quick glance, please. Is it clear, guys? Is it boring? First question I know afternoon session is very, very vague. I know. Is it boring? Or are you able to get me where exactly in healthcare the data science is applied and how it is getting applied? Just can you open up and chat, or you can unmute yourself? Okay, Rajesh Kumar, yes, little bit boring. Okay, it will be boring only because the topic, whatever we have chosen, that is healthcare. that is a large amount of data and a huge discussions to be made. So that's why. Remaining thing I can understand, because I'm also a candidate who used to sit in for sessions. Okay, fine, good. So some people are really good. Okay, thank you, sir. So now let me, what I can do is, if you have a notepad and pen with you, just I'm going to play a video for you how to use the Power BI demo using HER records, what the previous one sir has requested. The video for you, sir. So how exactly it is working and how this analytical parts has been taken into consideration. This is the video demo which I'm going to give to you now. So is everyone ready? Can I play the video? Okay, yes. Okay, fine. Let me minimize. So can just let me know if you are able to hear the audio or not.
Hi, this is Dr. Jenny Mitchell, and I want to take a minute.
Can you able to hear the audio? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So please kindly take your notepad and pen with you so that you can write the step-by-step process involved here for how to work on Power BI, so that whenever you got free time, you can just start working on this Power BI. Power BI is a paid version, but for some 15 to 20 days, that is for free, it is there. Okay, you can work on the Power BI for free also.
Minute to show you how to do some analysis of survey data. What I have here, if I've gone to the Health IT dashboard, where I have they have all kinds of data sets that you can download and use. Now this is the survey that's done for the National Electronic Health Records Survey, and you'll notice it's office-based physicians. It was done between 2008 and 2017, and the file itself, I can download it. It's a CSV file, and what they have here with the information, the CSV is a file we're going to use, but what they have for information in that file is this explains the header row. Like, for example, in a survey, you might have survey questions related to that. For example, this one right here is a response to this question: when electronically receiving information from other providers, are you able to integrate the following types of patient health information into your EHR without special effort, like manual entry or scanning? So this was a question that was answered, and then this is basically the header row. And let me explain a little bit what I mean by header rows. So I'm going to actually open this CSV file so that you can see it. So on your screen here is a CSV file here, and these are the headers. Okay, this is how the data comes in, and you'll notice that they've got numbers here which happen to be usually percentages that are related to that. We're over in column D, so let me move over so you can see. We've got the region codes and so on. And this is a fairly robust file. There's like 369 rows of data. So it's a fairly robust file. So I've already downloaded this and I have it saved in my folder. And so, but what you would do if you were doing this yourself, you would just go to CSV and it would download the file for you, and you normally it goes into your download file, but I save mine off then to a specific location. And then I'm going to go into my office.com. I went to office.com and signed in using my St. Mary of the Woods credentials. I have all of these things ahead of me. Yours might look a little different depending on what you've had open, but then I'm going to click on Power BI. When I open my Power BI has a lot of things in it, so you're going to see some different things here, but I'm going to show you my workspace. Workspace has my dashboards, reports, workbooks, and data sets. So if I click on data sets, what you'll see here is that I have a lot of different files in here, and I actually have already loaded this file up here, but if I wanted to load it, I would just click on right down here where it says get data, and hopefully this is I think we can see it fine. I'm going to pull it out here so it's as big as possible, and yet you can still see it hopefully. Maybe I need to move it over a little bit. Yeah, so you can probably see this now, get data. I'm going to click on the get data, and you'll notice here I've got lots of places I can get the data. I can pull it in from almost anything, including Epic and some of these other places, databases, SQL servers, whatever you might have for your organization. But I'm going to click on files because that's where I've got this. Here's my local file. And then this is the actual CSV. I did actually save it as an Excel file. You can see this is Excel, but this is the CSV file. I'm going to click that and say open, and it's going to ask me if I want to replace it because I've already gone through this once just to make sure I got it up here. But if I go here to my data sets, right here, the NEHRS 2008 to 2017 is the file that I used. And what you'll notice here is I can make a report from this. I can refresh it, schedule a refresh. That would be like if you're hooked in with live data. And then I'm going to click on this more options. These three little ellipses get you more options, and I want to show you something. It's called Get Quick Insights. So I'm going to click on Quick Insights, and it'll basically, what happens is Power BI is going to look for relationships between this data. So you're going to see that we've got some correlations. We have some trends that are showing here. We have, talking about Illinois. There's quite a few things that are talking about as far as Illinois. More correlations happening. And anytime you want to look at what this means, you can always look at this, learn more, because what it does is in Quick Insights, It does correlations. It does time series. It does majority. It finds trends, all kinds of things. So really and truly, this makes it pretty handy. And I want you to notice this was not rocket scientry that we used here to get to this, to actually look at some of the insights related to this data. So I wanted you to be aware that it is possible to, if you do some kind of survey data, to actually build a report and a dashboard. You'll notice it's got little pins on it, like here in the save. Well, I can actually pin that, and I can put it to a new dashboard that I call survey electronic health record dashboard, and I can say pin, and essentially what it's done now, it is pinned it. And I actually, even with this Power BI, we can create a phone view, or we can go right directly to that dashboard now, and you'll see here that I've got a dashboard on there, and I can go back to my workspace and back into that view insights and pin as many of those as I want, or I can create new ones. Like in my workspace here, I've got some dashboards created here that that you might want to see just an example of the type of dashboard that I can create. And what's really neat is that these are interactive. They've got built-in slicers, so when I click on a piece of the dashboard, it relates directly to what I was looking at this age group of 30 plus as an example on here. So just so you realize that Power BI is available to you as a student. It is a product that's used for reviewing and analyzing big data, and it's really fairly easy to use. So I wanted you to be aware that this was available. So thanks for listening.
So are you able to get it now? Power BI demo. There is a small demo. I know this is very hard to understand now, but this video can help you out how to work on Power BI and how you can work your data sets inside this part, and you can work on. So this is the thing what I just want to convey now. And the next, as per the thing, I'll be going to the second part now. Before concluding this thing, let me. So just 1 second, let me share another PPT, because this is very important in this EHR, that is electronic health records. This is the major thing, that is a digital health initiatives that has been come up with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India now recently. So here you can see here the vision of digital health. Whatever we have talked right now till for the past 1 hour, I mean 1 or 2 or 1.5 hours, whatever we have seen. So this is the thing what Government of India is requesting for. That is, we need to create an EHR of 1.3 billion peoples with pan-India exchange in secured manner. And we should set up the pan-nation telemedicine networks. Optimal use of IT for pan-nation surveillance and monitoring of programs. Efficient use of IT tools for capacity building and training. Wide-scale development, deployment of IT tools for governance and information disseminations. So this is the place actually these people are working right now in other states, in other countries, in US, in Ireland, everywhere. But in India, we're about to start this digital initiative. So let me just give you some glance about how this institutional health frameworks has been given. So they has categorized into 3 parts here: the Center for Health and Informatics, National Resource Center for EHR Standards, and National Resource Center for Telemedicine. So these are the 3 what things we had created. So you can see here, digital health initiatives, what it has come into existence now is, that is IHIP, that is Integrated Health Information Platform. So here you can see here, the web-enabled nationwide near real-time electronic information system. This is a real-time information system. If you guys didn't know about these things, you can note these heads and you can just surf the internet. And here the data entry envisaged for more than 2 lakhs of health facilities and covering 33 epidemics prone diseases. And predicting early outbreaks with advanced GIS mappings is also available. And 30% of populations is covered. And the second thing is, you can see here, comprehensive primary healthcare program, that it is a name-based, population-based screening. And for this is mainly used for non-communicable diseases, that is hypertension, diabetes, cancers. And currently it is under the operation in 20 states. And 80 million enrollments are done, and it is now close to 13 million screened. So these are all the things what the initiatives by Government of India has been come into existence. That is, next is e-hospital. That is Hospital Information Systems, HIS. So when this pandemic had come to existence, then these all the platforms that has been boomed up into the market. So this is nothing but a workflow based HL7 compliant, and it is a certified end-to-end solution. And it consists of HIS, LIS, risk, blood bank, telemedicine, suits, everything is available in this e-hospital. No need to run for blood banks. You can just register yourself, and if you need something, you can just get it from this site itself. And next is National Medical College Network. So they had brought a new medical college network itself, National Medical Colleges. In this, 50 government medical colleges are interconnected. And there are some collaborated networks for doctors and students itself. And these doctors are through online, they are prescribing some telemedicines, remote learnings, live surgeries, everything has been learning through these things, through these networks. That is NMCN. So these all is applicable with the data science. And teleradiographies, that is providing remote radiographies, web-based access for radiologists and medical officers, and implemented 90 HFS, that is all over the thing. And we have next is My Health Record. We have ORS system, that is online registration system for this thing, blood banks, test reports, whatever you need. This, once you register in this ORS, these people will come to your home and get your things done, and then they'll give you a result within 24 hours. During this corona, this pandemic impact, when the people face this tragedy of going to hospitals, they have fear of going to hospitals, these people's places played a huge role here, ORS. And here the Mira and a Mira Axtel, My Hospital, that is IT-based patient feedback system. And this is a multi-channel approach to collect information on patient level of satisfactions. That is through SMS, outbound dialings, web portals, mobile apps, everything. So these people has played a huge role in calling the corona patients, and they're inquiring about their health day by day so that they won't fall in troubles. So this is the thing. And next, we have some digital initiatives called Reproductive Child Healthcare, RCH. We have Tilkari, that is message on pregnancy, childbirth, childcare. And we have Mobile Academy, where a course on maternal and child health is being given. How to protect your child, what communications to be given, all these networks, whatever they have done, everything is got linked with analytics, dots. These dots has played a huge role for TB patients. For monitoring your TB patients, this is a web-based application. You can just open it up and you can just go ahead, you can search for it, what exactly is how it is working on. And eRakshak, that is centralized blood bank management system. And they have around greater than 25,000, 2,500 e-blood banks on board right now. And next is M-Cessation, SMS-based initiative to help tobacco users to quit tobacco. So these all are networks. This is linked with WHO. So WHO has huge number of data. Who are the addicted tobacco smokers? They all get linked up in this network, and these people are getting every day, because this is a patient-centric, and they are viewing online data analytics. How many people are, based on their advice and their instructions, their initiatives, how many people are getting reduced. Everything has been seen realistic in digital way. So this is created by M-Station. And drug and vaccination distribution management systems. We have lot and lot today now. We have lot and lot of distribution networks. All applications, whatever they have developed, everything is connected to big data and data analytics on them. Based on the analytics, where in which area the data is needed, then immediately the data that has been given there, the service has been provided there. So that is the thing what's happening. And even that is electronic vaccine intelligent networks. So digitized vaccine stocks monitors the temperature of cold chain through a smartphone applications itself. It can observe how many vaccinations are available. If it is placed in the storage place, that is cold storage, what is the storage point they had kept in the fridge, everything can be observed here. So this is application what they have left with Even. So like this, we have so many digital initiatives that has been coming into market. But the only one thing that to be focused by the government of India, they need one electronic health record system. For that, it should be a centralized ones, which can be linked with the patient's histories into the hospitals, doctors, everywhere, and they can capture each and every data, and they can record each and every data, and they can see what it is happening. So that is a thing, what the initiative that has been created. That is a vision of digital health. That is, you should create EHR of 1.3 billion people with pan-India exchange in secure manners. So this is the projects what we can go ahead for Digital India. So even the colleges can go surf internet, and you can guys can get into association with Tamil Nadu government, and you can Indian government, and you can start working on it. So this is the place where I want to just give you an insight. Okay, so this is the thing. And the next part is, third thing is, I have mentioned to you, I'm not going to show you any big softwares. I'm just giving to show it to you in Excel, how you can work with data analytics can be performed in Excel for healthcare data. So this healthcare data, which I am showing to you right now, I got this data from this site, Tamil Nadu Government Health. Let me paste this thing in the chat box so that you can also, if you want to have some realistic data, you can get from this data from this website, because we have lot and data available. That is COVID. We have data dictionaries, age-wise categories, age by countries, country new, daily case informations, case of 0-18 to 18 years old. What are the different cases we have? MMR, WB case count, daily age group outcomes, public data sets, daily data snapshots, COVID vaccination age groups, COVID vaccination age group census, everything. There are lot of data sets available in this site, so that if you want to really work on in the site, you can just work on with this thing. Simple thing I'm just showing to you without anything. Big things I'm going to show to you. Small thing. Here you can see the data in Excel sheet. So how to add the data analytic part in your Excel itself without writing any big softwares, or like you have softwares. We have Vika is there, RStudio is there, Python is there, without going for any codes. How we can easily perform in analytics. So this is the place where you can work on. So just what you should do is just go to the file option. You can see here options. Just click on options. Once you click on this options, this pop-up box will be opened in Excel options. That is, then you can click on here add-ins. In add-ins, you have an option called analysis tool pack. Okay, so this analysis tool pack, whatever we have seen for the day today, all the things has been covered inside this thing. All the algorithms also is available. No need to write any new algorithms. You can just work on this tool without using anything. Just click on this analysis tool pack, and then just get down and click on this manage part, and click here Excel add-ins, and click on go. Okay, once you click on go, this will be disabled, and then this OK will be coming to you. Then click on OK. So once the data tool has been added to your Excel sheet, you can click on this data part, data tab. Once the data analysis has been added, you can see on the right side corner of your Excel sheet, there is data analysis tool. So once before that, this data analysis tool won't be shown to you. Okay, so once I click on this data analysis tool, let me show to you what are the things available inside. Without doing any big task, you can perform all your data analytics things. So here you can see here ANOVA single factor, ANOVA two-way factor with replications, correlations, covariance, descriptive statistics, exponential smoothing, Fourier analysis, histogram, moving average, random number generation, rank percentage, regression, sampling, test period, sampling variance. So many things are there. So let me show you one thing from this analysis tool, how to perform regression by using Excel with your healthcare data, whatever you have here right now. So I'm just clicking on this regression part and data analysis part. Click on this thing. Then you will be having a pop-up window. Ask it for your input Y range and what is your input X range. So always do remember, in data analysis, whenever you're going for this, it takes only the numerical values. Okay, with this numerical values only, regression will be performed, not with alphabetical things. Okay, so let me take the cases from this input Y range. I'm going to select this 21 data, and similarly, I am taking the total number of cases for this 21. Then I'm just clicking on these labels. So here you have here output ranges. So output range where you want to show it, that is through a new sheet or through your same sheet itself, you want to display regression, you can show. Similarly, you want to open in a new worksheet, you can click on new worksheet and you can go. So similarly, I just click on new worksheet now, and I'm just giving here as regression name as a new sheet as regression, and then I'm clicking on OK. Okay. So see here, without writing any code, my regression performance has been taken here. So what is my coefficient? What is my standard error? What is my static value? What is my coefficient value? What is the percentage values for 90%? What is the lower percentages? And what is the significance factor? What I got? Everything. What is the regression? What is the residual? What is the mean square? What is the square value? What is the standard error? Everything has been shown to you here. Okay. So this is how exactly you can work on data analytics for healthcare by using Excel itself. Because some hospitals which we have here, MNC hospital, that is large scale hospitals, can be used some software tools. They can buy of their own and they can use. But small clinics, if they want some regression and statistics, or if they want daily analytics or part anything, they can't afford on software part, because that itself costs some millions. So instead of that, they have been using here Excel itself for their own purpose, and they're using this data analytics part performed by using this Excel itself. The data has been carried out. Okay, so this is how exactly in your Excel sheet itself you can perform your data analytics also. So this is the part which I want to show to you. Okay, so let me go to the first slide, and then let me conclude my conclusions, and then we'll wind up the session for the day. I'm sorry. Let me go with this. So the concluding remarks. So application of data science in EHR could save the healthcare industries up to $450 billion. But other things are important too. That is right living, right care, right provider, right value, and right innovations. So without these things, data science in EHR can't be succeeded. Okay. Similar thing. Conclusions for the day is whatever we have concluded, whatever we have seen for the past hours. The conclusion: data analytics is promising right direction, which is in infancy for the healthcare domains. But if it make it as a fancy thing, it is going to create a huge impact. And healthcare is a data-rich domains. As more and more the data is being collected, there will be increasing demand for big data analytics. And unrolling the data, the related complexities can provide many insights about making the right decision at the right time for the patients. Efficiently utilizing the cholesterol healthcare data repositories can yield some immediate returns in terms of patient outcomes and lowering care cost. Data with more complexities keep evolving in healthcare, that is unstructured data and structured data. If you work on the proper part of proper data arrangements, then it can lead us to more opportunities for big data analytics to be performed inside this EHR in data science. So that's it for the day, guys. If you have any queries, you can ask with me. I think I had covered most of the part. I think some of people it may be boring, but I know it is a vague topic which we have selected. But I think I had given more knowledge on the part what I want to cover. That's it. So that's it, guys. Thank you.
My dear participants, if you have any questions or queries, you can type it in a chat box, or else we give you the privilege to unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and you can ask our resource person. My dear participants, you can unmute yourself and you can ask your questions or queries, or else you can type in your questions in a chat box.
I think Gopi said they are tired, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
I just want to cover the most part, so that's why, because you guys are faculties, no? So there is a huge research opportunities that has been evolved inside this platform actually, data analytics, EHRs.
Yes, sir. It was more useful, sir. And you told about that Power BI. So many things you given that a site link to get the data. So many things you covered today. So it will be more useful for all the participants to do their work and research there in the data analytics. Yes, sir. Dear participants, if you have any questions or queries, you can type it in a chat box, or else you can ask, unmute yourself and you can ask your questions. Sir, Ranjana Rajnish, she posted a message in a chat box.
Okay. Okay, it would be great if you could share some resource for that too. Okay, I'll give you, ma'am. I'll send it to Gopi sir.
Yes.
I'll give you the PPT and everything to Gopi sir and to ma'am, so that they can share with the participants, so that you can get the resource links and you can work on it.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
And even which I showed to you today, that Tamil Nadu government link, ma'am, that will be very useful because that is the updated data what we have now. Scheme.gov, which I had given to you. So that is a link which where you can get your data for good image data sets also. So I will surf and I'll send the links for you. I'll share with you, ma'am. No worries.
So
Any other participants?
along with the recordings, we used to send the PPT and all sort of details what you're going to provide materials to them, sir. To send us a mail, we will send
Sure.
you that.
Dear participants,
Participants, it's your turn. You can interact with Shankar. You will feed it much more, Shankar. That's what, as a faculty community, hesitate to come forward and put a query on you.
No, it's okay, ma'am. Actually, see, the things what we covered, this is a vague topic. Actually, this is a vague one, and there are a lot of information to be shared to make them to understand and to get into the picture. And if they want to work on the research part on this medical or healthcare, it will be very useful for them for funding projects also. Even the colleges can go get some good fundings, because now on this healthcare itself, the Tamil Nadu government is giving so much of funding for this data sets, for data to work on data sets.
Okay.
So I think I know, ma'am. There's a long session I have to cut from 2:30.
Okay, they will contact you by your mail if they want specific queries in that way. Otherwise, participants, you can post in a chat if you have any specific queries or about the session or what may be the things. Otherwise, we will find the session.
dear participants, if you have any questions or queries, you can ask our resource person by through the chat, or else you can unmute yourself and you can ask.
Gopi sir, I just shared mail ID and phone number.
It's mail ID and a phone number. Let them.
Okay.
So over to Gopi, you can conclude today's session.
Yes, ma'am. I would thank our resource person, Mr. S.K. Shankar, sir, a corporate trainer and startuppreneur, QS Techno Solution, Chennai. He did a wonderful presentation on exploration of electronics health recording using data science. He given a lot of information to do the research on data analytics. It was more useful to us. And then I would thank our HOD ma'am for her full support on this Atal FTP program. And I would thank all the participants to for a great learning today. For tomorrow, you all kindly join us for tomorrow session 4. Thank you.
Sir, in diagnosis and classification. One final question we were asked.
Yeah, ma'am. Sir, in diagnosis and classification, in particular disease, what will be the role data visualization tool? You can just go for Tabula. Instead of going for Power BI, you can go for Tabula. Because for more role data visualizations, you can go for Tabula data.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Deepak.
For Deepak only, I just mentioned it. For a classification and particular disease, what will be the role data visualizations? Tool like Power BI, Tabula. Tabula will be more better when compared to Power BI. So Power BI is for basic learnings.
Okay, Shankar sir, thank you very much.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
Dear
you.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Gopi sir, and thank you all the
Thank you,
participants for giving an opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, sir. We will touch with you for forthcoming sessions.
Sure, ma'am. Sure,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.